Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good morning to all of our listeners here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Welcome to another edition of Front and Center, where we put very significant issues affecting our country, the Philippines, as our program title says, Front and Center. On behalf of our colleague, Jerome Toledo, I'm your host for today, Steph Vicente, joining you all for more or less 30 minutes worth of talk, discussing important matters with our government officials, people from the private sector, or even members of the academe. As seen through our video live streaming, you may watch and listen to Front and Center through our official Facebook page. Just search Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The same goes for our official YouTube channel. Meanwhile, we also have an audio live streaming thanks to the Evox PBS receiver app. You may download the said application via Google Play Store if you are using an Android phone or via App Store if you are using an iPhone. We are also back on shortwave radio starting last December 2025. Front and Center is part of our English service, which airs from 10 o'clock to 11:30 in the morning. That's Philippine Standard Time. You may listen to us via the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. For the first part of today's edition of Front and Center, we are going to talk about how artificial intelligence, or AI, create new challenges in protecting minors against online abuse. In a press briefing to launch Safer Internet Day Celebration 2026, government officials and child rights advocates stated the growing digital footprint of children has led to unprecedented exposure to illicit online materials, making child protection a matter of national urgency. In this regard, we are now joined by Undersecretary Angelo Tapales of the Council of the Welfare of Children for us to have a deeper discussion on the said matter. Undersecretary Tapales, welcome to Front and Center. This is Steph Vicente again of Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ate Steph, thank you for inviting the Council for the Welfare of Children, and more power to your show, Front and Center po.
Thank you very much, Yusek Tapales, for joining us despite your very busy day today. So our first question for you. During this press briefing for the launch of Safer Internet Day 2026, you have cited a 1,325% increase in AI-generated child sexual abuse materials. How serious is this situation, and what does this figure tells us about the scale of the problem?
Thank you for the question, Ate Steph. As I mentioned yesterday during our press conference for the launch of the celebration of the Safer Internet Day, while cyber tipline reports in the Philippines has decreased from 2.7 million in 2023 to 1.7 million in 2024, the incidence of AI-generated child sexual abuse materials globally has increased by 1,325%. This emphasizes the fact that perhaps while reporting or incidence of cyber tipline reports is decreasing, we are not seeing the whole picture because there are many other emerging trends, one of which is, of course, the AI-generated CSAM or child sexual abuse or exploitation materials. There's also an increase globally on online enticement. There's a 192% increase. And kasama na rin po dyan, there's also an increase in child sex trafficking at 55% from 2023 to 2024. That's why I think it's timely that the President has included as a priority legislation the amendment of our anti-OSAIC and anti-CSIM Act, which is Republic Act 11930, to keep pace with the development of, or the rapid development of technology, including AI and other emerging technologies.
Mm-mm. And in what ways is artificial intelligence making online sexual abuse and exploitation of children more dangerous or more difficult to detect?
Yeah, it compounds or aggravates the problem of the government in the sense that the proliferation of AI generated child sexual abuse materials tends to overwhelm our government offices, like law enforcement services, because it's easy to create AI pictures or even videos portraying sexual abuse of children. And this proliferation of AI generated SSIM takes away the attention of law enforcement to the real victims. So that is a problem. And of course, other than that, while usually one of the main causes of child sexual abuse online is poverty, when you talk about AI, we are not strictly talking about poor people. Poor people anymore, because these people perhaps are educated. They have funding or resources to buy software or hardware to to create AI generated child sexual abuse materials. So the usual poverty driver is not perhaps not strictly applicable to this case, because for AI, perhaps we have stumbled into another species of manipulators, where the lure of easy money is the more prevalent motivating force. And yun nga, Ate Steph, as I mentioned earlier, AI kasi uh, AI design can be created in two ways. Number one is grabbing an existing picture of a real child online, or uh, creating an original or completely fabricated AI picture or video, which portrays sexual abuse. So it can also take in the form of text content. There are generative AI chatbots that can engage a person in sexually explicit chat while acting as a child. So there are many ways for AI to really exploit children online, and we cannot allow this, because normalizing AI AI creation or AI created child sexual abuse materials harms the children's sector as a whole, because it will normalize violence against children.
Mm-mm. With wider internet access and a growing digital footprint among young people, how exactly vulnerable are Filipino children today compared to previous years?
Ate Steph, very, very apt question, because the digital footprint of Filipino children has really increased over the years. In the Disrupting Harm study conducted by ECPAT and others, including UNICEF, this is a 2022 study. The study showed that for children aged 12 to 17 years old, 95% of them are already in the internet. And during their study, out of the 95% of children aged 12 to 17 in the internet, 20% of them were victims of grave instances of online sexual exploitation. Now, they are just talking about the usual online sexual abuse, not really the AI generated or AI facilitated sexual abuse. So we can imagine the threat that our children are now facing in the internet with the advent of AI, because it's easy to create. Most AI programs are inexpensive, readily available online, so everybody can really do it. Or even children themselves can violate the rights of other children by using AI.
Mm-mm. And now the government is adopting a whole of country approach to combat online abuse. What
Yes.
does this approach involve, and which sectors are being mobilized?
Yes. At this step, that's correct. The government is currently pushing for a whole of nation approach, not just a whole of government approach, because online sexual abuse or all concerns about children is really a shared responsibility between the government, private sector partners, and even the families themselves. The children, they're also involved in the efforts of the government to frustrate the threats confronting our children today. It's an admission that no single agency or interagency body can solve online sexual abuse, or internet safety. That's why in our team today of Safer Internet Day, it starts with ako, ikaw, tayo, konektado, and protektado from online sexual abuse, ano? Because we have to create an ecosystem of creation, ano? From policy making, from prevention, from rescue relief, rehabilitation of victims, and even reintegration, eventual reintegration to our community as law-abiding citizens. And I think the government is in the right direction. As I mentioned earlier, the inclusion of the amendment of our OSAIC Act, in the President's priority legislation will really update the law and of course affords children many or stronger protection, especially against AI and other emerging technologies.
Mm-mm. And speaking of that, how is the CWC working with law enforcement agencies like the PNP and the Department of Justice to address online grooming, especially through gaming platforms?
Yeah, that's a ano no, that's a good question, ano. Behind me is my banner of the Makabata Helpline 1383 pursuant to Executive Order number 79 series of 2024. The president institutionalized the Makabata Helpline 1383 as the central reporting mechanism of the government for children. So we coordinate with the PNP and other law enforcement officers to address reports coming from children, parents, or even concerned citizens po. No? There are many concerned citizens reporting in our helpline. The Makabata Helpline 1383 is our tangible contribution to the efforts of the government to protect children. And we are also a member of, an active member of the National Coordination Center against OSAIC and CSAM. And we are pushing for the helping them push the amendment of our OSAIC Act, ano. So marami po kami ginagawa sa kanila. We will also help them roll out some projects, especially to create awareness amongst families and children. The schools are also very crucial. We are also the Makabata Helpline 1383 is also a partner of the Department of Education because our children spend a lot of time in school, so we have to make school safe. While the family is the no no the is I mean child protection starts at home at the family level, and of course it continues in our schools, in our communities, and even at the national level through policy making agencies like the Council for the Welfare of Children po.
Mm. And live streaming and participation in online trends are becoming more common among minors. How can families balance digital engagement with online safety?
Yes, that's a very good question. The families, the parents have to really communicate with their children. They have to balance freedom of expression, online access with child protection. It's a balancing act. We cannot totally prohibit minors from using the internet because the other half of the internet is really beneficial to minors. Naandyan ang research, they use it for study, they use it to socialize with friends. But the other half, as I mentioned yesterday, is a dark side which is pernicious and harmful to children. That's why the parents have to get involved and of course the government have to get involved. Kailangan po nating bantayan ang ating mga anak online. We promote responsible cyber citizenship or parenting in the digital age. Kailangan po natin, we have to train ourselves to be aware of how gadgets work, how cyberspace and the internet work. Kahit po tayo mga parents, we don't usually use the internet. It's for the younger generation perhaps. But of course, if only to protect our children, we have to be involved and we have to really learn the ways of the internet so that we can effectively protect our children.
Mm-mm. This would be the second to my second to the last question. From the perspective of child welfare, why is online sexual abuse now being described as a matter of national security?
That's a good that's a good question. Actually, ASEC Michelle of the Department of Justice mentioned that earlier. I mean yesterday. It's called securitizing an issue. When you securitize an issue, you raise the issue to a level, to a more serious level. Like a level in the level of national security. So I fully support that securitizing child protection and online sexual abuse sends a very serious message to everybody, from the public sector and the private sector, in the sense that we have to prioritize it the way that we prioritize perhaps health, our pandemic response, public safety, security, and even national security. This securitization of online sexual abuse is also reflected in the amendment to the Anti-Crime Act that our lawmakers are pushing, and which the president has considered as a priority legislation. Nakasulat po doon na it is like a national security issue, because practically that's very true, because we are protecting the next generation of our country, and to my mind, the most vulnerable sector of society. So I agree with that. We have to consider online sexual abuse and any and all forms of violence against children as a national security or as a security issue.
Now, for our final question, what message would the CWC like to send to Filipino families, especially in regards to Safer Internet Day 2026? Go ahead.
Okay. At the Council for the Welfare of Children, and I know you've heard this phrase uttered a lot of times, yung it takes a village to protect children, or to raise children. But for the Council for the Welfare of Children, considering that we are at the advent of technological development and the development of internet and cyberspace, we have to update that concept. While it's still true that it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village and a safe cyberspace to protect one. So we have to, hindi lang sa physical world, we have to protect our children from cyberspace. That's why kailangan po, we have to band together. Again, it should be a whole of society approach. We should really feel that it's a shared responsibility, if only to protect our children. Kasi as we always say at the Council for the Welfare of Children, sa bagong Pilipinas po kasi, bawat bata ay mahalaga.
With that, thank you very much, Undersecretary Tapales, for joining us here in the program. Until next time, mabuhay po kayo.
Maraming salamat, Ate Steph. Congratulations. And of course, more power to Front and Center. Mabuhay po kayo.
And we were just joined by Undersecretary Angelo Tapales of the Council of the Welfare for the Welfare of Children. When we come back, we will be joined by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, to talk about reforms made in relation to letters of authority, or LOAs. For the meantime, here are some reminders from the station.
Mabilis ang trivia, dagdag talino. Heto na ang Dagling Kaalaman.
Alam nyo ba na ang kasal ay isa sa pinakamatandang tradisyon sa mundo na nagsimula mahigit 5,000 taon na ang nakalilipas? Isinusuot naman ang singsing sa kaliwang kamay dahil pinaniniwala ang may ugat ng pag-ibig na diretso sa puso. At alam nyo ba, ang buwan ng Hunyo ang pinakapaborito para sa mga kasal dahil ipinangalan ito kay Juno, ang diyosa ng pag-aasawa. Dito sa Pilipinas, ang kasal ay tinuturing na sagradong sakramento, kaya't wala pa ring divorce law hanggang ngayon. Kaya tandaan, ang tunay na kasal ay hindi lang tungkol sa selebrasyon, kundi sa habang buhay na pangako ng pag-ibig at katapatan.
Kaunting kaalaman na malaking dagdag talino. Abangan muli ang susunod na Dagling Kaalaman.
This is a public service announcement.
Maging handa sa oras ng sakuna. Para sa iyo at sa iyong pamilya, laging siguruhin, Go Bag ay nakahanda at naglalaman ng mga sumusunod. Ilang pirasong damit, ready-to-eat na pagkain at inuming aabot ng 3 araw. Personal na gamit para sa inyong hygiene. First aid kit kabilang ang alcohol, bandages, gamot sa lagnat, ubo at sipon, pati na rin ang inyong vitamins at maintenance medicines. Maglagay ng pito, flashlight, lighter o posporo. Huwag kalimutan ang mga charger o power bank. At higit sa lahat, isama ang mga importanteng gamit gaya ng inyong mga legal na dokumento, IDs, ATM o passbook, insurance at iba pa.
This is a public service announcement. Public service announcement from PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service, and Radyo Pilipinas.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And now we're back in the program Front and Center. As mentioned, the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR will join us as we discuss a revamped system-driven tax audit framework in relation to letters of authority or LOAs. BIR spokesperson Attorney Brianna K. De Los Santos is now on the line. Attorney De Los Santos, welcome to Front and Center. This is Steph Vicente again of Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good morning, Ma'am Steph, and good morning to all the listeners of this show.
I'll go straight to the questions. Attorney De Los Santos, the BIR recently presented a revamped system-driven tax audit framework before the Senate. What prompted the BIR to overhaul the old audit system?
Ms. Steph, when the BIR suspended the audit investigation on November 2024, it is in response to numerous complaints that we received regarding irregularities and inconsistencies in the audit process. There are allegations that there are multiple in audit investigation ongoing on the same taxable year, overlapping, and we relied heavily on manual intervention. So for the BIR to conduct a comprehensive review of existing policies, we decided to suspend the audit investigation.
And there were allegations that letters of authority or LOAs had been weaponized in past enforcement actions. How serious were these concerns and how did they influence the reforms?
Since we received a public clamor for using LOA as weaponization, one of the instances that were raised was there was a selective issuance of LOA. Meron daw pong suki-suki system. So, paulit-ulit every year, certain taxpayers are audited. So, in response to this clamor, with the issuance of RMO 1 2026, the BIR already institutionalized the system-assisted audit selection. So, with this process, yung mga naluluwa natin is already those that are included in the system and they were chosen by the system itself. So, this process of issuing LOA is more controlled and system-driven. So we have clearer safeguard and we reduce the exercise of discretion in choosing who are subject to LOA. So another mechanism that we institutionalize is the anonymized selection and assignment process. May mga allegations that there are favoritism with certain revenue officers sa pag-assign ng mga cases. So in this case, in-institutionalize namin ang anonymized selection wherein before the LOA is handed over to the Revenue District Office, it's still anonymized. Hindi niya po alam if kanino niya ina-assign na revenue officer ang certain taxpayer. And after the assignment, it will be returned back to the commissioner for approval, and doon na lang po malalaman pag na-approve na ng commissioner for issuance ng LOA kung sino ang taxpayer na yon at sino ang corresponding revenue officer that will handle the audit investigation. So Ms. Steph, another instance where sinasabing weaponize si LOA, yung multiple or overlapping LOAs. So we did not go beyond the tax authority or the tax type. However, because of the BATAS unit, there are chances that we issue 3 LOAs per year. Kasi the issuance of LOA for VAT is per semester, for every 6 months. So, may mga BATAS section that issues LOA for the first semester, which covers the first 6 months, and the second semester for the last 6 months. Tapos, meron pang pong audit na kinakonduct sa Revenue District Office at it covers naman all internal revenue taxes. So, ang nangyayari is nagiging multiple ang submission of documents, multiple ang tao na haharapin mo kasi possible tatlong tao, tatlong opisina ang pupuntahan mo, same documents, same sales transaction. So to address this concern, we instituted a single instance audit framework. In this case, one LOA per taxable year per taxpayer. So yun po.
And since you have mentioned the process which was mentioned under Revenue Memorandum Order 1 series of 2026, only 2 officials are now generally authorized to sign LOAs. Why was it important to limit the signatories, and how does this strengthen oversight?
The tax code provides that the commissioner is authorized to issue LOA, but he delegated such authorities to the regional directors and the assistant commissioner of the large taxpayers service para naman po sa mga LT registered. So importante po to limit the signatories to strengthen control over audit authority, and it ensures clearer accountability and more effective oversight of audit approvals.
Around 45,000 previously issued LOAs remained active when audit operations were suspended. What is the current status of these LOAs?
Ma'am Stephanie, I would like to clarify that when the BIR suspended last November 2024, not all LOAs are suspended. Because RMC 107-2025 provided for an exception. So tulad ng mga active criminal investigations, one-time transactions, mga prescribing cases. So in this case, these LOAs, out of the 45,000, kung pasok po sa exception, na continue po, and it remained active. However, for those LOAs that were suspended, when the BIR lifted it on January 27, 2026, they are now for the continuance of audit investigation. So, anong ibig sabihin po nun? Continue po ang audit. So, meron po tayong mga exception na mga kaso. Ano po yung mga audit, VAT audit under VATAS? Kasi nga po, with the institutionalization of RMO 1-2026, the VATAS unit and offices are now dinisolve na po sila. So, ano mangyayari sa mga kaso under VATAS unit? So, they are for consolidation with the RDO where the taxpayer is registered. Unless there is a request for non-consolidation filed by the taxpayer on or before February 16. So, sa Monday na po ang magde-deadline yung request for non-consolidation. Kasama po sa pagpasa ng RMO 1-2026 was the operations of the task forces that were previously organized are deemed concluded. So ano mangyayari po kung may LOA ka under a task force? Ang mangyayari is, for regular audit by the task force, it will be transferred to the RDO, or if the taxpayer is from the large taxpayer service, it will be transferred to the large taxpayer service. However, if you are holding LOA under RAF or run after fake transactions, your case will be transferred to the National Investigation Division.
Now, what are the key safeguards in place to prevent audits from going beyond authorized tax years or tax types?
Ma'am Stephanie, we would like to clarify that even prior to the suspension, tax audit cannot go beyond the authorized tax years and tax types. So, gaya po, mayroon tayong LOA para to clearly define kung anong scope lang ng revenue officer in the conduct of audit investigation. However, with this new system, ang minake sure lang po namin na yung audit instruments are now clearly labeled to define the extent of authority.
For my next question, Senator Erwin Tulfo raised concerns that only a small fraction of LOA-related complaints in the past reach prosecutors. How is the BIR ensuring stronger accountability under the new system?
Ma'am Stephanie, the BIR would like to clarify that LOA is issued to check the veracity of payment of the taxpayers. We do not intend to institute criminal liability. So, yun nga po, it doesn't mean po na na-issuean ka ng LOA, dapat po iakyat natin agad sa prosecutor because we have to observe due process and we have to make lang naman po ni BIR, we just want to make sure that taxpayers are paying the correct taxes. At if tama po, okay po, wala na po silang babayaran. Pero po, kung hindi po tama, we will collect ang dapat po nilang bayaran. Pero ang hindi naman po ibig sabihin, piniprevent rin po namin na umabot na makasuhan talaga ng criminal ang mga taxpayers. So, how do we ensure stronger accountability in this new system? So, we are now requiring our revenue officers to update in almost real time the status on each and every stage of audit. So, meron po kaming iris system. They are required to update it real time, almost real time, kung hindi po kayang real time, kung saang stage na po sila para po for the exercise of oversight function by the commissioner. So,
it seems that our communication is being interrupted. We'll try to call again Attorney De Los Santos because this is very important information to be relayed. Attorney De Los Santos, we are just interrupted by the cut of the call. Go ahead.
okay, so going back sa sa institution sa ensuring accountability. So we are making sure that all audit actions are documented and monitored through the issuance of minutes prepared during the discussion of discrepancy after the notice of discrepancy issuance. So kailangan po ang minutes ng meeting signed both by the taxpayer and the assigned revenue officers. So we also provide a defined channel for reporting irregularities. And yun po.
It was mentioned that that there is this what we call there's agenda. So how does this kind of agenda tie into audit reforms, particularly in terms of digital transformation and accountability?
The DARES program is the 5-point reform and legacy agenda of this administration. So we want to emphasize that audit reform is a key pillar of the institution's broader and phased transformation. So ito po yung 5 priorities and outcomes that the BIR wants to achieve. So how do we tie this with digital transformation? The BIR wants to ensure that data is properly encoded and updated regularly. For accountability, audit reform will not succeed without accountability. So the BIR will be implementing the accountability through the conduct of revalida or through the auditor, and we must ensure that discipline in the field must be part of the audit program.
For the second to the last question, for ordinary taxpayers and businesses who might be listening right now to this program, what changes will they actually feel under this new audit system?
With this new audit system, we have now a clearer scope and requirements. There will be no fragmented. So hindi na po hati-hati, hindi ka na po pupunta sa different offices. And so ibig sabihin, ang audit natin is more focused na. So ang purpose niyan is to reduce the disruption of their business operations.
And for our last question, before I let you go, Attorney De Los Santos, what assurance can the BIR give the public that the new BIR audit framework will truly deliver transparency, predictability, and fairness? Go ahead.
So now that the audits are governed by clearer rules, defined authority, and documented processes, So we want to relate to the public that we are here working with you. Our job does not end with the issuance of RMO 1 2026. We also want to hear kung ano pa po ang mga feedback nyo. Is one of the agenda in the DARES program is stakeholder engagement. So we want to hear, kung ano po, how effective is the new program that is being instituted by the BIR. So we are still working to make these reforms effective to promote transparency, predictability, and fairness.
And I would just like to ask, before we end this interview, are there any platforms where taxpayers and businesses could give feedback? Are there hotlines or email addresses you may relay to this via this program?
You can contact us po if you want to email directly to the Commissioner. We have the Tell the Commissioner at bir.gov.email. You can email us through that. For issues naman on LOA, you can email at contact_loa@bir.gov.ph. Meron naman pong contact us email nasa BIR website, or kung nakikita nyo po si Revy sa website ni BIR, meron po tayong tinatawag dyan na Ask Revy. So the BIR is open to all the suggestions and comments from the stakeholders.
And with that, thank you very much, Attorney De Los Santos, for joining us here in the program. Until next time, mabuhay po kayo.
Thank you. Good morning.
And we were just joined by BIR spokesperson Attorney Brianna K. De Los Santos. At this point, we'll be ending today's edition of Front and Center. We would first like to thank our technical team, composed of Milo Jonella, Susan Aison, Hiro Lucero, and Justin Osias, who made this program possible. Thank you as well to our station manager, Mr. Ray Sampang. Until the next episode of our program, on behalf of Jerome Toledo, this has been your host for today, Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.